The sleek Confederation ship entered Earth's orbit on a clear day in April. It was the largest alien vessel humans had ever seen, with its hull shimmering like polished metal in the sunlight. This was humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Confederation, an alliance of 27 spacefaring species that controlled most of the known galaxy. Ambassador Tay stood on the command deck, looking down at the blue planet. His six-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he studied the world that had just been discovered by Confederation scouts 3 months ago. Primitive, but not without potential, he said to his second-in-command, Officer Bin. Their radio signals have only been detectable for about 100 years. Their technological development is quite slow compared to standard patterns, Bin replied, bringing up holographic displays showing Earth's major cities and military installations. No planetary shield, no orbital defenses. They've barely established a colony on their moon. Tay nodded. Another species that developed too slowly to protect itself. We will offer them our protection, as is our duty. The Confederation prided itself on incorporating developing species under its protection before they encountered more aggressive galactic powers. It was both a moral imperative and a practical one. New member worlds provided resources and new territories. When the EIZ Confederation's landing craft touched down outside Seoul, a small group of human officials waited. The aliens were surprised by the calm reaction of the humans. There was curiosity in their eyes, but little fear. Director Park, Earth's chief representative, stepped forward when Ambassador Tay emerged from the ship. She was shorter than the alien, but stood straight and confident. On behalf of Earth, I welcome you to our world, she said with a small bow. The translator devices worn by the aliens converted her words instantly. Tay returned the gesture, his long neck bending gracefully. The Galactic Confederation extends its protection and membership to your people, he announced. We bring technological advancement, medical knowledge, and security against the dangers of space. The following 3 days involved meetings between alien representatives and Earth's leaders. The Confederation delegation was surprised by how quickly humans accepted their terms. Most new species negotiated hard for better conditions or showed more suspicion toward their new protectors. You accept our oversight of your military development without question? Asked Officer Bin during one session. Director Park smiled. Earth has known too much conflict. The prospect of peace under your guidance is appealing. During a tour of one of Earth's major cities, Security Chief Han noticed something odd about the humans they met. They asked many questions about Confederation technology, about other member species, about the structure of the Confederation's military forces. They are very curious, Han mentioned to Ambassador Tay as they returned to their ship that evening. All primitive species are, Tay replied. It's natural to be fascinated by advanced technology. There is something more methodical about their questions, Han insisted. They ask about weaknesses and limitations as often as capabilities. That night, in the privacy of his quarters, Ambassador Tay reviewed recordings of the day's interactions. The humans had been polite, even friendly. They had agreed to every Confederation demand with only token resistance. Yet something felt wrong. He played back a moment when Director Park had been speaking with Science Officer Young about Confederation defense systems. Her questions had been specific, probing for details about response times and energy requirements. At the time, it had seemed like simple curiosity. Run a comparative analysis of human questioning patterns against other species during first contact, Tay instructed the ship's computer. The results showed that humans asked 3 times as many strategic questions as typical new contact species. Their focus on defense capabilities, command structures, and communication systems was unusual. When the Confederation delegation prepared to leave Earth to report back to their council, Director Park presented Ambassador Tay with a gift, ASO, small globe of Earth made of polished stone. To remember us by, she said with another smile. We look forward to our future together in the Confederation. As his ship lifted off from Earth, Tay turned the small globe in his hands and felt an unexpected chill. The humans had been too accommodating, too eager. He couldn't explain his unease, but centuries of diplomatic experience had taught him to trust his instincts. Perhaps, he murmured to himself, we should be more careful with these humans than we initially thought. 6 months after first contact, the Confederation had established a permanent presence on Earth. A gleaming tower of alien design stood in the center of Sol, housing the assessment teams tasked with studying humanity before full integration into the galactic community. Every new species underwent this process, but few had generated as much debate among the alien researchers as humans had. Researcher Sue sat in the biology lab, comparing human DNA with samples from across the galaxy. Her species had 4 eyes, which allowed her to view multiple screens simultaneously as she worked. I've never seen such genetic adaptability, she said to her colleague Day. Their DNA repair mechanisms are remarkably efficient. Day nodded. Her attention focused on a simulation of human muscle structure. Look at this, she said, pointing to the screen. Their physical design prioritizes endurance over immediate strength. Most species evolve to either fight or flee predators, but humans evolved to chase their prey to exhaustion. Persistence. Hunters, Sue murmured. That explains much about their psychology. On another floor, military advisor Rim reviewed historical footage of human wars. The Confederation always studied a species' conflicts to understand their approach to problems. What he saw troubled him. They adapt mid-battle, he told Ambassador Tay during their weekly briefing. Most species develop a strategy and stick to it, but humans change tactics constantly based on immediate results. Tay folded his slender fingers together. Is this significant? Very. It suggests a cognitive flexibility that could make them unpredictable. Meanwhile, cultural specialist Jun was becoming equally concerned about human art and entertainment. He had been tasked with analyzing human media to understand their values. They are obsessed with stories about overcoming more powerful opponents, Jun reported. Their heroes are rarely the strongest. They are the most determined or clever. They celebrate the weak defeating the strong through intelligence or persistence. In the diplomatic wing, Officer Bin reviewed the ongoing negotiations with Earth's representatives. Humans had readily agreed to Confederation oversight of their space development and military growth. They had accepted restrictions on certain technologies without complaint, but they constantly requested educational exchanges and access to Confederation technical databases. They want our knowledge more than our protection, Bin told Tay privately. Every concession they make is exchanged for information. 3 months into the assessment, the pattern became clearer. Humans absorbed information at an alarming rate. The educational programs designed to gradually introduce Earth to galactic science were completed far ahead of schedule. Human engineers had already begun adapting Confederation concepts into their own technology. During a demonstration of Confederation defense systems, Ambassador Tay noticed Director Park studying the energy shield projectors intently. After the demonstration, she asked several pointed questions about power consumption and field stability. You seem very interested in our defensive technology, Tay observed. Park smiled. We are naturally curious. Your civilization has had thousands of years to develop these systems. We're eager to understand them. That evening, Tay called an emergency meeting of the assessment team leaders. I believe we may have misjudged the humans, he began. Their apparent technological backwardness may not reflect their capability, merely their development timeline. Xenobiologist Day spoke up. My team has determined that humans evolved not as prey animals but as predators. Their pattern recognition abilities are exceptional, and their social structures are designed for coordinated hunting. Military advisor Rim added, their history shows they are at their most dangerous when threatened or cornered. They have an unusual ability to unify against external threats. The meeting lasted late into the night. By its end, Ambassador Tay had made a decision. He sent a private message to the Confederation Council. Recommend caution with Earth integration. Humans display predatory psychology masked by cooperative behavior. Their technological advancement rate exceeds predicted models. Their interest in our defense and communication systems suggests strategic thinking beyond what their development level would indicate. What Tay didn't know was that his message was intercepted and decoded by a human intelligence team operating from a facility deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Director Park received the translated text within hours of its transmission. She read it twice, then looked up at General Min, who stood waiting for her reaction. "They're beginning to understand us," she said calmly, "but not quickly enough." Min nodded. "Should we adjust our approach?" "No," Park replied. "We continue as planned. The Confederation still sees what they expect to see. A primitive species grateful for protection. Let them keep believing that, while we learn everything we can." As she spoke, in underground facilities around the world, engineers were already working to adapt Confederation technology for purposes the aliens never intended. 1 year into Earth's membership in the Galactic Confederation, tensions began to rise. The Vartak faction, a powerful military group within the Confederation, had grown suspicious of humanity's rapid advancement. While Ambassador Tay urged caution and continued assessment, Commander Q of the Vartak believed humans needed to be tested. "All new member species must understand their place," Q argued during a Confederation Security Council meeting. His scaled skin shimmered under the council chamber lights as he spoke. "Humans are advancing too quickly. They must be reminded of their dependence on our protection." Despite objections from Tay and others, the council approved a series of containment measures for Earth. The first incidents were minor. Confederation patrol ships scanning Earth vessels without permission, small border violations near the IEC, new human mining operations on Mars, and occasional communications interference. Earth responded with only diplomatic protests. Director Park filed formal complaints through proper channels but took no further action. This passive response encouraged the Vartak faction. "See how they accept our dominance?" Commander Q told his officers. "They understand they cannot oppose us militarily." On a cool autumn morning, 3 Earth transport vessels disappeared while traveling between Earth and Alpha Centauri, where humans had established their first extrasolar mining operation. The ships carried 200 crew members and valuable mineral samples. When news reached Earth, Director Park immediately requested a meeting with Ambassador Tay. They met in the Confederation Tower in Seoul, now surrounded by busy streets where humans and aliens moved about their daily business. "3 of our ships have vanished," Park said calmly, showing Tay the flight path and last known positions. "We request Confederation assistance in locating them." Tay studied the data carefully. The ships had disappeared in a region frequently patrolled by Vartak vessels. He had not been informed of any operations against human ships, but he suspected Q's involvement. "I will investigate immediately," Tay promised. Before he could complete his inquiry, 2 more Earth vessels vanished. Near Jupiter, this time a distress signal was received briefly before communication was lost. When Tay confronted Commander Q privately, the military leader didn't deny involvement. "We are simply testing their response capabilities," Q said, his voice cold. "All new species must understand the consequences of defiance. The humans have been too eager to explore beyond their approved zones. The Council did not authorize attacks on civilian vessels," Tay argued. Q's mouth formed what passed for a smile in his species. "Not attacks. Military exercises. If human ships happen to be in restricted areas, that is unfortunate." Earth's response surprised both aliens. Instead of escalating their protests or attempting military action, Director Park simply requested an emergency session of the Confederation Council. When the session convened, Earth's Ambassador Lee stood before the assembled representatives of 27 worlds. "Earth has appreciated the Confederation's guidance this past year," Lee began, his voice steady and calm. "However, recent events have caused us to reconsider certain aspects of our membership agreement." A murmur ran through the council chamber. New species never requested treaty revision so early in their membership. "We wish to formally withdraw from sections 7 through 15 of the Non-Aggression Protocol," Lee continued. "These sections require full disclosure of defensive capabilities and prohibit independent military development." The council erupted in voices. Ambassador Tay raised his hand for silence. "Ambassador Lee, withdrawal from these sections would place Earth in a special category usually reserved for founding members," Tay explained. It would allow you to maintain military capabilities without Confederation oversight. We understand, Lee replied. Earth feels this is necessary for our security given recent events. Commander Q stepped forward, towering over the human ambassador. This is unacceptable. Your species is barely a century into space travel. You have no right to military independence. Lee turned to face Q directly. 5 Earth vessels have disappeared while under Confederation protection. 243 humans are missing. We believe modified protection arrangements are necessary. After hours of debate, the council adjourned without resolution. As the delegates filed out, Tay approached Lee privately. You must understand what the Vartak faction will do next, Tay said quietly. They will see this as a challenge to their authority. Lee nodded. We anticipated that response, Ambassador. Your people cannot hope to withstand Vartak military action, Tay warned. They command the most powerful fleet in this sector. For the first time, Lee's diplomatic mask slipped slightly, and Tay saw something in the human's eyes that made him uncomfortable. Not fear, but a cold certainty. We appreciate your concern, Ambassador, Lee said. But perhaps there are aspects of humanity you have yet to fully understand. 3 days later, Commander Q authorized what he called a limited demonstration action against Earth's Mars colony. The Vartak fleet moved into position, unaware they were being watched by sensors far more advanced than Earth was supposed to possess. The Vartak battle fleet approached Mars with confidence. Commander Q stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the red planet grow larger on the main display. 20 warships formed a perfect attack formation behind him, their weapons charged and ready. No signs of defensive systems, reported his tactical officer. The human colony appears exactly as our intelligence indicated, a small settlement with minimal protection. Q nodded with satisfaction. Prepare the demonstration strike. Target their main power facility only. We want to frighten them, not destroy the colony. Commander, the communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the Mars colony. Q was surprised. He had expected the humans to panic or plead for mercy, not initiate contact. Put it through. The screen flickered to show a calm-looking human woman in a simple uniform. This is Colonel Min of Earth Defense Force. Your vessels have entered restricted space without authorization. Please withdraw immediately. Q made the barking sound that served as laughter for his species. Earth Defense Force? Your planet? Has no authorized military under Confederation law. Stand down and prepare to accept our demonstration of Confederation authority. Colonel Min's expression remained unchanged. You have 30 seconds to alter course. Q ended the transmission with a dismissive gesture. Humans are either brave or foolish. Proceed with the attack. As the Vartak fleet moved into firing position, something unexpected happened. The smooth surface of Mars's smaller moon, Phobos, suddenly shifted. What had appeared to be ordinary terrain split apart, revealing massive weapon installations hidden beneath a holographic camouflage shell. At the same moment, 6 large objects detached from the planet's surface. Objects that had appeared on scans as mining facilities but now clearly revealed themselves as battle stations. Impossible, gasped the tactical officer. Our scans detected none of this. Before Commander Q could issue orders, a new fleet of ships appeared, emerging from behind Mars's other moon, Deimos. They were clearly of human design, but incorporated elements of technology from multiple Confederation species, adapted and enhanced in ways the aliens had never considered. All Vartak vessels. Colonel Min's voice came through again. You are surrounded. Power down your weapon systems immediately. On the Confederation Central World, Ambassador Tay received urgent alerts about the situation at Mars. He rushed to the Emergency Command Center where Confederation leaders were already gathering, watching the unfolding scene with shock. How is this possible? Demanded one council member. Humans have only been in space for a century. They cannot have built these defenses without our knowledge. Tay watched the tactical displays with growing understanding. They never revealed their true capabilities, he said quietly. Everything they showed us was carefully selected. The Vartak fleet, finding itself surrounded and outgunned, attempted to retreat. Several ships fired weapons despite Colonel Min's warning. The human response was immediate and precise. Energy beams of a design Tai had never seen before disabled the weapon systems of 3 Vartak vessels without destroying the ships themselves. The remaining Vartak ships surrendered within minutes. Ambassador Lee requested an emergency session of the Confederation Council. This time, when he addressed the assembled representatives, there was no pretense of deference in his manner. For the past year, we have allowed the Confederation to believe Earth was defenseless, Lee began. This was not deception but prudence. Throughout human history, revealing weakness to more powerful entities has rarely ended well for the weaker party. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's true defense network, orbital platforms, lunar bases, and fleets of ships that had been hidden from Confederation sensors. While we accepted your technological guidance, we were not as primitive as we allowed you to believe, Lee continued. What you saw as simple curiosity was strategic assessment. What you interpreted as technological backwardness was simply a different development path. The council chamber remained silent as Lee revealed the truth. Humans had achieved spaceflight later than many species, but their military technology had advanced rapidly due to their history of constant warfare. When the Confederation arrived, Earth's leaders had made a strategic decision to appear less developed than they were. The ships your Vartak faction attacked were not defenseless, Lee explained. They were bait, designed to reveal the true nature of our relationship with the Confederation. Ambassador Tay finally spoke. You used our prejudice against us. We saw what we expected to see, a primitive species grateful for protection. Lee nodded. And while you studied us, we studied you. Every piece of technology you shared, we improved upon. Every weakness in your systems, we noted. In the Confederation Command Center, tactical analysts were still trying to understand how humans had hidden their true capabilities for so long. The answer was both simple and disturbing. Earth had developed technology specifically designed to counter Confederation detection systems. Your assumption that technological development follows a single path blinded you, Lee concluded. Humans did not develop exactly as other species did. We focused on different priorities, including how to hide from more advanced civilizations until we could understand their intentions. The Council was faced with an uncomfortable reality. They had unknowingly admitted a species far more dangerous than they had realized. The emergency meeting of the Confederation Council stretched into its 3rd day. Representatives from 27 worlds argued heatedly about how to respond to Earth's revelation. The captured Vartak vessels remained in human custody, a situation unprecedented in Confederation history. Ambassador Tay sat quietly, observing the chaos around him. The Council chamber, normally a model of order and civility, had devolved into factions. Some demanded immediate military action against Earth. Others advocated for a diplomatic solution. A few simply wanted to quarantine the human system and forget they had ever discovered it. Earth deceived us all, argued the Maldi representative, his translucent skin flushing with anger. They violated the spirit of Confederation law while technically following its letter. They cannot be trusted. Yet they showed remarkable restraint, countered another council member. The Vartak fleet attacked their colony, and humans responded with precision. They disabled weapon systems without destroying ships or taking lives. Finally, Ambassador Tay rose to speak. The chamber fell silent. I have studied humans more closely than anyone here, he began. I initially misunderstood them, as we all did. But now I see more clearly. Humans did not join the Confederation out of weakness or fear. They joined to learn about us, to understand the galaxy they were entering. He activated a display showing historical records of human conflicts. Their history is filled with stronger powers conquering weaker ones. When we arrived at Earth, they had no way to know our true intentions. Their caution was born from experience. Meanwhile, on the Mars colony, Commander Q stood before Colonel Min in what was now clearly a sophisticated military command center, not the simple mining operation it had appeared to be. Your deception was Impressive, Q admitted grudgingly. But the Confederation will not tolerate this challenge to its authority. Colonel Min gestured to a display showing Earth's defensive network. This is not about challenging authority, Commander. It's about survival. Throughout our history, technological gaps between human societies often led to conquest or exploitation. We learned to be cautious. You've been planning this since our first contact, Q realized. Min nodded. We hoped for peaceful cooperation, but we prepared for less favorable outcomes. Back in the council chamber, Ambassador Lee presented Earth's terms for continued Confederation membership. The terms were firm, but not unreasonable. Recognition of Earth's sovereign defense rights, access to all scientific and cultural exchanges, and reparations for the Vartak attacks. We do not seek dominance, Lee explained. We seek partnership based on mutual respect, not the patron-client relationship you initially proposed. The debate continued for hours. Finally, a compromise was reached. Earth would remain in the Confederation with special status, neither a protected world nor a full founding member, but something new. As the council members filed out, Ambassador Tay approached Lee. I'm curious, Tay said. If the Vartak had not attacked, how long would Earth have maintained its facade of technological backwardness? Lee smiled slightly. As long as necessary. We were content to learn from you while slowly revealing our capabilities. The Vartak simply accelerated our timeline. And your hidden technologies? Some seem beyond what Earth could have developed independently. We adapted what we observed, Lee explained. Humans have always been good at improving on others' ideas. Your energy shields, for instance. We noticed a vulnerability to certain frequencies and designed our weapons accordingly. Ambassador Tay nodded thoughtfully. The Confederation has existed for 3,000 years. In all that time, we've never encountered a species quite like yours. Is that a compliment or a warning? Lee asked. Perhaps both, Tay admitted. 3 months later, the first official Confederation Earth joint military exercise took place in the Jupiter system. Ships from 5 different worlds participated, now working alongside human vessels rather than overseeing them. After the exercise, Tay stood on the observation deck of the human flagship with Director Park, watching the combined fleet maneuver against simulated threats. Your people have changed the Confederation, Tay observed. Some members still fear you, but others have begun to re-examine their own assumptions about developing worlds. Park nodded. Change is often uncomfortable but necessary for growth. The galaxy is vast, Ambassador. There may be threats out there that neither humans nor the Confederation have encountered yet. We will be stronger facing them together as equals. There is wisdom in that view, Tay agreed, though I suspect the Confederation will be watching Earth's development very carefully for many years to come. As we will be watching yours, Park replied with a smile. As their ship turned back toward Earth, Tay added a final note to his report. For the Confederation archives. In humans, we have discovered a species that reminds us of an important truth. Appearances can be deceiving, and true strength lies not merely in technology or numbers, but in adaptability, determination, and the wisdom to know when to reveal one's hand.